Today is Wednesday, March 10. I'm Pastor Michael, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from 1 Corinthians 15:51. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. During Monday's devotion, I promised more reflections on Psalm 25 under the theme, Is the Captain on Board? Sometimes life gets in the way. In this case, life and death. Yesterday, our congregation was invited to rejoice with the Joustras in the birth of a baby, and to grieve with the Groenewegens in Kelly's death, and with Rosa Lasoba, whose son Martin died tragically on Monday. As those events shape my reflections for today, I want to remind you of our Christian hope. As Paul once wrote, we will all be changed. The birth of a child is often a beautiful thing. Few things are as awesome as cradling your newborn in your arms. There is so much hope, so much potential. Love and joy overcome any fears. But the fears are real. There is fragility. This living being is totally dependent. Most parents, when they hold their newborn child, encounter that sober reality that someday this child too will die. Before that, there will be many trials and probably much suffering. To be a parent is not for the faint of heart. As Christians, we do not avoid these realities of evil. Whether it is at the birth of a child or the death of a loved one, we acknowledge evil's grip on this life. There is much wrong with this world, and we cannot escape it. The present pandemic has caused many of us to realize that North Americans are not immune to evil's power. We have discovered just how frail we are. And as Christians, we acknowledge that evil's hold on us is caused by humanity's rebellion against God. When the apostle writes about our flesh, he is usually referring to that reality, that we are rebels, that we have walked away from the God who gives life, and we have chosen death. Or as the Heidelberg Catechism puts it, we have a natural tendency to hate God and our neighbor. Yet, as Christians, we face this frailty, this fleshness, with courage. This frailty is doomed to die. In his great chapter on the resurrection, the apostle says that our flesh and blood cannot enter God's forever kingdom. Frail, mortal humanity cannot survive in God's eternal and perfectly holy presence. But because Christ took on our flesh and blood, subjected himself to death, and rose again, death has lost its sting and its victory. By faith in him, our bodies too will be raised to new life. We will be changed. In our text, Paul refers specifically to those who are still alive when Christ returns. However, elsewhere, he tells us that the dead are raised to their new bodies, and the whole creation is liberated from decay to share in the freedom of the glory of God's children. All who are in Christ will be changed. God will change our mortality to immortality and our perishableness to imperishableness. When that day comes, death will have no more control over us. Our frailty will be gone. That fleshness will have been rooted out and destroyed. Life eternal will flow in us forever. Our bodies will be transformed along with all of creation. God has already done this new thing in the Messiah Jesus, and he will do it for all God's people through the power of his Spirit. And in that new thing, death and decay will be gone, swallowed up forever. And so today, in whatever way we face the frailty of human life, we can do so with hope and courage. Let's get a head start on Easter and say, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. As you journey on, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May your day end with rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May you rest in his provision as he brings night. and then new dawn.